So today on the channel, we're featuring a fan favorite of mine. I have a couple families out here building right now, and we're out way south of Houston. We are in the beautiful community of Meridiana, and I'm gonna give you an update of a video that I did a while ago that's been getting a lot of traction lately on the channel. And I have a lot of people asking a lot of questions about the community of Meridiana. So I think it's only right that we do a pro and cons video for you. If that sounds like something that you're interested in, stay tuned. And like you've come to expect on this channel, I'm going to give you the real, the unfiltered view and opinion that I have about Meridiana. It's definitely one of my favorite ones in this part of the world. But just like any community, there are pros and there are cons to living out here, and Meridiana is no different. But I do think that the pros far outweigh the cons out here, and we're going to hop right into it right now. And the number one pro for living out here in Meridiana has to be the amenities. This place has outstanding amenities. As I'm walking by your Soul Cafe, which is your own on-site cafe, we're heading towards the pool area right now, splash pad, the lakes. And so I think that just the amenities that you get behind us right there was the conservatory. If we look behind me right now, you'll have your own personal gym. You'll have your own lake. I've seen some people doing some kayaking stuff on the lake before when I was out here, and you'll have your splash pad and your Olympic style kind of resort style pool out here. So I think that the amenities are very hard to beat. When you're on this side of the world, on the other side of 288, you have the Sierra Vista community. I've done a review on this channel. I'll link that as below as well. That's gonna have the Blue Lagoon that's coming out there. But they're nowhere near complete on that Blue Lagoon. As you can see in Oasis Village out here in Meridiana, you already got stuff that's up and running. And so also, this isn't the only section that's going to have some amenities. As you go a little bit further down to the newer sections, as we kind of go and do the house review stuff, you'll see that they also have other parks and other splash pads and other pools that are coming up in different sections. So this isn't the only amenity that you're going to have in this community. However, this is the main one for Meridiana. So I definitely think that pro number one, in my opinion, is going to be hard to have amenities that rival this one. There's a bunch of communities out this way, but they don't quite do all of this. You know, you're not going to have these beautiful walking trails and lake views. You're not going to have this splash pad. You're not going to have the baseball parks right on site. You're not going to have the conservatory in your own cafe. Not everybody does it like that. You know, when you kind of want that level of amenity, you have to step up in price point out in this direction and kind of go to a more so like a Sienna, which is at a different price point than out here for an entry level home. And so it's definitely, for the price and for the amenities that you get, it's going to be hard to beat that out here in Meridiana. And the second pro to moving to Meridiana is going to be the outstanding builders and the selections that you have out here. Just walking out of one of the most popular videos on my YouTube channel is the Drees Layton model, and that's an 80-foot wide product. But out here you have variations from like 40 feet all the way up to your oversized estate style, more super luxury 70, 80-foot plus lots. You have Shea Homes out here, you got Perry, you got one of my favorites, Highland Homes out here, Toll Brothers. You got some really heavy hitters. You also have some Chesmar and some more entry-level products out here as well. So you really can't go wrong. You're going to be in a price range of like that high threes all the way up to about $1 million. That Layton model that I just walked out of is tagged at right around $1 million right now with all the upgrades that they have done. They have about $50,000 in structural upgrades and about $200,000 in actual design upgrades in that one. So you can't really go wrong when you're out here. If you got a nice budget, or if you're entry level, you can get some of these 40 to 45 foot products that they have out here. Perry has them, Chesmar has them, Highland has some smaller sections as well. Toll Brothers has a 50-foot section out here. And so you are definitely going to have a lot of variety and a lot of different sections that are going to be, some are going to be gated. You have a 55 plus community out here as well with Tri-Coast Homes. So again, the variety that you just get out here and the bang for your buck and the different style of home, from super luxury all the way from entry level all the way up to super luxury, you can't really beat it out here in Meridiana. The third pro that you have for buying out here in Meridiana is the ease of access into the neighboring communities, as well as a straight shot into downtown Houston. You're right off of the 288 corridor right now, where there's been a lot of development. And so if you are looking for that new construction community where there's still a lot of opportunities to build, either to build ground up or to have inventory, and something that is going to give you easy access in and out of Pearland, which is probably the nearest biggest community to you, or if you have to go a little bit further on a commute and go all the way into the city, that is a pretty straight shot using 288. Now, you are super far out here. I don't want to sugarcoat that. You're probably somewhere between that like 30 to 35 to 40-ish mile distance from here to downtown Houston, but it is literally a straight shot when you compare that to some communities like Cypress, where you have to ride 290 to get on another loop to get to another part of the downtown area or the medical center. Or if you're looking at some of these other communities that you have to do a similar thing off of like 59 to go to another loop to get into the city, this is literally a straight shot. And if you ride 288 and you just keep riding it, it rides right down past the medical center and eventually downtown. So this is definitely one of the best locations, especially if you're going to either work and do a lot of your business or play in the Pearland area, or if you need to kind of be in and out of the medical center. This is going to be an outstanding location for those two lifestyles and commutes on a day in, day out basis. So third pro is the ease of access into both Pearland and the neighboring communities out here, as well as a straight shot into downtown Houston. The fourth pro and benefit to moving to a community like Meridiana out here in the Iowa Colony area is that you are buying into a master plan community. And what that means in the greater Houston metro is that you're going to have the residential support. So you'll have all these beautiful residential options out here in this community, but you're also going to get the commercial support. And so what that means out here is you're typically going to have your own grocery stores, your own amenities. Up at Meridiana Parkway, you already have a pizzeria, you have your own Starbucks, your own gas station, and there's going to be more to come as the commercial sector of this community begins to be built out. In the time being right now, as those other things are coming, you're in a great spot because you also have Sierra Vista, which is just across 288 going the opposite way. They also have their own amenities that they have popped up, and so you kind of have easy access where you are right now. But the main sell for being here is to have the amenities of this master plan community, the beautiful options that you're going to have from a builder standpoint, as well as the commercial infrastructure that you're going to eventually have out here. Another byproduct of being a master plan community is that you're going to have your own schools on site. And so one of the benefits of that is you're not going to have a super long commute when it's time to take the kiddos to school. You'll hop right on Meridiana Parkway, and you'll eventually drive and drop them off at school. I think the elementary school is about to open up if it hasn't already yet, and the middle school is right there in the background. So for the first couple sectors of your kids' education, you can damn near walk to school, and that's a benefit of being in a master plan community compared to some of the other smaller communities that don't have that, where you have to drive a little bit further out. And so that's probably one of the biggest benefits to buying into a system and into a planned community like this, is that you're going to have so much infrastructure that is set up to provide you entertainment and enjoyment. So all the amenities, all the commercial, all the little restaurants and little eateries and grocery stores, all that stuff that's going to come to you is a byproduct of you buying in a beautiful master plan community like Meridiana. And the fifth pro to buying out in Meridiana is that this community is both growing and expanding, as well as has been here for some time now. And so you are going to have opportunities in some of the older sections to get an already established resale if you don't have the appetite for buying a new home and building from the ground up, or if the inventory that we currently have on the market coming up as brand new inventory from these builders doesn't quite do what you want to do. There are going to be older opportunities out here because there are some older sections near the front of Meridiana Parkway that have been here for some years. I have a friend that's been out here almost 10 years at this point. And so there definitely are some older opportunities out here if you just are liking the area but don't kind of want to wait for all the design centers and the permitting and all the issues and some of the utility startup and things that come with buying in a brand new community right now. If you don't want to deal with that, there's going to be opportunities for resale as well as new construction inventory if you are a little bit more flexible about finishes and layouts and size and all that stuff. Typically in this area right now, you're going to pay a little bit more of a premium to get some of these luxury builders, especially like one of my favorite builders, Highland Homes. You're going to see that compared to the older homes for resale that are on the market right now, you would get a little bit more square footage compared to getting brand new. But brand new comes with a premium. It comes with all the warranties. It comes with everything that you want and the reasons why you would get a new construction home. So that is the trade-off right now. But if you want new, whether it's ground up, there's a ton of lots from every builder out here. They have tons of lots available. They all pretty much have inventory for new construction that's going to be done within the next 30, 60, 90 days, as well as a very strong resale market out here in Meridiana. But it can't all be sunshine and rainbows. Like any community, especially a master plan community, there's going to be pros and cons on either side. I do think, like I said earlier in the video, that the pros far outweigh the cons out here, but there are some cons for sure. And so I don't want to sugarcoat that, and let's hop right into the cons of living in Meridiana. And the first con is it's kind of difficult to explain, because I have a lot of clients that buy in these master plan communities, and they buy typically fairly early on in these master plan communities. And one of the things that kind of always comes up, especially if you're going to have a master plan community that has the schools and things associated with that community that are going to be built and brand new, kind of like this one. And so when you're looking at the school ratings, it can sometimes be a little bit off-putting that the school ratings out here are a little bit lower than some of the more established communities out here. So when you compare this to like a Sienna's been up and running for 10, 15 years at this point. All of the tax money and all the tax dollars that go into building up that community from what was once old farmland has been established and going for 10 plus years now. And so it's a little bit of an unfair comparison, because these brand new schools that are just opening up on this site are just getting going, and sometimes they don't have the best rating. And so doesn't mean that the schools are going to be bad, doesn't mean that they're going to be terrible. It just means that in the interim, the number one con is that sometimes looking at the school ratings or things of that nature can be a little bit off because they're brand new. A lot of these communities that are built out are basically old pastures and farmland. And if you know anything about how our property taxes work out here, our property taxes basically pay for everything. Schools, roads, infrastructure, hospitals, pretty much everything in the greater Houston metro, our property taxes pay for them. And agricultural land out here is some of the lowest taxed property that you can have in Texas. And so if all of these were old, basically farms, and they just had a small school originally in the area to take care of those old farmers, when you get these new construction communities out here, it's going to be a little bit of a disconnect as why you're paying such a premium to get and get into like a C-rated school area, when the actual fact is that they just didn't need to have the infrastructure, and the taxes that were going to those schools originally weren't needed to be so high to accommodate them. And so as the schools kind of get up and running, you start to see those ratings go up. As the tax dollars kind of go in and fly into the systems, you'll start to see ratings and infrastructure around the education kind of go up. In the current marker that it is right now, I think is like a C out here for most of the schools. But as you kind of pour more and more tax dollars, more and more infrastructure, more and more resources into the teachers and students and things into this community, you're going to see that the ratings are going to go up, just like they do in most of our communities that are kind of out on the outskirts. And so that's probably one of the biggest cons when you're moving out here to a community like this very early, is that sometimes the ratings that you can see for like a crime or for schools or for just like walkability, things to do, can be a little bit off, just because so much stuff out here is just brand new compared to it just basically being old farmland like it once was. The second con to moving out to Meridiana as of the recording of this video is that, like I said, and kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier, all of your amenities, all of your support isn't quite here yet. So you still don't have like your own grocery store. You still are going to have a couple shops trickling in and eateries trickling in on your infrastructure. Now, one of the beautiful things that you have going for you is that your fun things inside of the community are pretty much done. So you have your Adventure Cove that we showcased earlier. You're going to have Oasis Village that has all of those amenities, gyms. You got a couple spots. You're going to have your parks kind of sprinkled in and throughout the different sections, but the commercial support that you need to be like your truly own self-sufficient master plan community just aren't here for you at this point in time. You're just a little bit early. So as you drive in, you're going to see a couple spots where they're about to start building some stuff. As you go a little bit more north of you off of 6 and 288, that's going to be the Manville Town Center, where you're supposed to be getting like your H-E-B and your grocery stores and all the stuff that you are going to want to need. I don't think it's going to be quite as big as the Pearland Town Center that is just north, but it is going to cut down on some of that commute for things that you're going to need to go into Pearland to actually do, or to go deeper south of you to go and deal with some of those other commercial spots. So just one of the biggest cons about being out here, especially at this point so early on, you're going to get in at a little bit of a lower price, because as soon as all of the amenities, as soon as all of the infrastructure is in place, you're definitely going to pay more of a premium. But for the time being, all of the commercial infrastructure just isn't quite here yet. So if you need more than what you have in your community, if you want to see more amenities outside of your community, it's going to be a little bit early for a lot of that. You're going to have to deal with either Sierra Vista across the way on 288. You're going to have to deal with the stuff that's out in Pearland or in some of these neighboring communities in like Rosharon, Manville, Iowa Colony kind of areas that are a little bit smaller, and deal with their infrastructure. But for right now, you're waiting for your stuff. And lastly, the biggest con with being out here in the greater Meridiana area, and this is not too dissimilar from pretty much any master plan community, any of these brand new construction communities that are going to be kind of out in the outskirts, is that you're going to pay a fairly high property tax. All of these communities pretty much are going to have higher school taxes, as well as a MUD tax, which basically brings all of the gas, sewer, water, internet, all the infrastructure that you need to have a functioning community. All of these communities are going to have that, and Meridiana is no different. So to have a entry-level price point of I would say a nice size starter home around 2,000 square feet, you're going to be somewhere around that 400,000 plus mark. To have a entry level of 400,000 and a property tax rate that's over 3, you're going to see $1,000 a month for taxes prior to your homestead exemption. Now, homestead exemption is going to help a little bit. On average, it typically brings you about 20% off of the value of the home that you have right now. So for, an average single family home of around 400,000 right here, right now, it's going to take off a nice chunk of what the tax assessor is going to be forcing you to pay taxes on. So it definitely is going to help. But to start off at that higher price point and have a higher property tax, that's going to be a con for some people compared to some of the other communities. Now, when you compare that to the other communities that are out here that are new and up and coming, that's not too dissimilar from anything. So you're not going to really find too many property tax savings out in this area as you're buying new. Everything is going to pretty much be over 3 unless you start looking at severely older homes out in this area. That's the only way to really avoid paying a high property tax. But kind of like I explained on the previous segment, if you're not aware with how our property taxes work out here, they pretty much pay for everything. We don't have a state income tax. And so our property taxes are high in these areas, and they pay for so many things. They're going to pay for your schools, your roads, your infrastructure, hospitals, all those things that support and that you need for your community come out of the property taxes. So it's not like you're just throwing that money away. It's not like it's going nowhere. But you have to ask yourself whether the schools, whether the amenities, whether the things that you get, whether the house, whether the overall ambiance of this community is worth being over 3% on a property tax. Only you can answer that. I do know that compared to the other communities out here, they're going to be about the same. And I would say from a looks perspective, from what you get perspective, Meridiana is definitely one of my favorites in the area. So Only you can tell me whether or not it's worth it to you, but I just want you to know that if you're going to be out here, expect to have a fairly high property tax. So how did I do? Did Meridiana ring enough bells and check enough boxes to make you want to call Meridiana out here in the country of Manville or Iowa Colony, whatever section that you end up in? Did they do enough to make you want to call this place home? If so, I would love to be a resource to you. Hopefully I didn't scare you away. There are some pros and there are some cons to every community out here, but I do think that the pros far outweigh the cons, and I think that you would be lucky to call this place home if your lifestyle is going to bring you to this part of the world. Call, text, email, hit the comment section down below and let me know if you have any questions about any builders out here, any current incentives or availability of homes. I look forward to hearing from you, and I hope you have an outstanding day.